Yes, we're back again with a tutorial that is aimed at helping the piano learners and players to practice and master their chord inversions. The lesson today is about how do we practice and master the chord inversions, because learning the chord inversions, like you have your chord and you invert it, is one thing, but how do you master it? If you are troubled by how to master your chord inversions, then this tutorial is what you've been looking for. Let's dive into it straight away. Welcome, my viewers. And I'm going to keep everything simple today. And because of that, I'll choose the simplest scale, that is the scale of C major. That is our C major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And I'm going to highlight a very pertinent issue here so that you have it in your mind. As you follow along this video, there is that bit. When you look at the chords, the way they are played, you'll find that the shape of your fingers normally change. Like, let's take our chord number 1 in the scale of C major. That is C chord, the C major chord. The fingering I prefer is finger number 1, number 3, and number 5. I did explain in the previous tutorial that the correct fingering is a must when you are starting. It might be uncomfortable and a little bit inconveniencing, like especially this pinky finger. But I would advise that from the word go, you try to use the correct fingering here. So for the root, I normally go with 1, 3, and 5. Then we want to invert this by taking this note back. I'll now change the fingers. And I go with 1, finger number 2, and finger number 5. And then in the second inversion of that same chord, I'll go with this finger. If you look, I'm having 1, 3, and 5 once again. My viewers, it's very important you realize that the shape of the fingers change. And when we are playing, there is hardly enough time for you to reset the fingers and shape. So that is why this tutorial will help you. When do you switch? Like, practicing chord inversions is a matter of just resetting the shape of your fingers in good time. Like if I have this and I want to go, so there is this short time interval when I'm migrating from chord number 1 to the next chord, which is the first inversion. I should have known from the fingering I've just explained that I'm now going to use 1, 2, and 5. So I strike this, but in my conscious mind, I know that the next chord, the shape shall have changed. So we've got to practice this shifting. So what you do first, but then you change the shape when you are on air. I hope you are following keenly. You are mid-air, we have 1. We want to go to the first inversion. So I know for the first inversion of all my chords, the shape is this. So when I'm here, as I move to the next, I change so that by the time I'm landing on the next chord, the finger is already set. Now, this will take you time because you'll realize that sometimes when you're beginning, you move from here, but when you go here, the fingers have not reset. Give it time in practice so that you learn how to reset the fingers. That is point number 1, that the resetting of the fingers is done at the time interval between the first and the second chord. You can even move from 1 and you play that. The shape of the fingers, very, very important, because there will be no enough time for you to go here. You reach here is when you reset. So when you practice that, it comes clearly. That is very important. Then the second, when we are practicing chords, let's say we are in chord number 4, because we normally form chords at the root position, I want to advise you that we go to a chord and we start mastering the inversions from another inversion, not at the root position. Like if we take C, we can have it that we start from the second inversion of C. So we have the second inversion and you try to figure out the next. So this is our first inversion of C. Then you move to the root. Then maybe we move to the first inversion. Remember, the key here is shifting. Like I'm going for the same fingering for chord number 1 and chord number in the root position and in the second inversion. I'm only changing the fingers in the first inversion. Let me quickly just give you a tip why I'm doing that. When you now go to the seventh chords, like I'm having my, of course, this is the C major 7, though this might be a higher content, but I'm not teaching you to start practicing that as this beginner stage. I'm only trying to highlight. When we have this as our fingering, and now we go to the first inversion, remember we have note B there. When we go to the first inversion, and I have this, you'll realize that I have 2 fingers which are left freely to play this number 7. I can choose any, which is comfortable. So it becomes easier. When I go to the second inversion, this is the chord. With the fingering I was doing, I have this to play my 7 or to play my flat 7 if I want to form a dominant chord or a minor chord, whichever. And at the same time, this other finger is left to play my 9th. So when we start playing the extended chords, you'll realize that this correct fingering I'm talking about is very important. Because if you mess up the finger, let's say we used this, you'll realize you are now lacking a finger that can play the 7th. Are you able to see that, my viewer? Yes, so that is the essence. That is how significant it is to follow the correct fingering. So please start practicing these inversions using the correct fingering so that later on when you advance and start playing extended chords, you don't have to relearn and now start resetting your fingers. I hope that point is clear. Finally, as we summarize this, there will be the best way to practice this. We use chord inversions. So I'll give you a task. We are going to have just 3 of them. Please, we are going to try as you practice. So the first one, we are still in key C. We are going to have the root. The progression is 1, 4, 5, 1. C, F, G, C. So in the first activity, you are going to have the root. You play it twice. Then we go to the second inversion of F, that is our number 4. Then we go to the second inversion of number 5, and we finish at the root. So together we have then we go back to, can I retake that? Look at my fingering. We had already talked about it. Sorry, 1, 4, second inversion of 5, then first inversion of 1. So that is the first task we are going to do. The left hand, you can just keep it simple on the bass note. So we are there now, second inversion of 5, then we are back to the first inversion. Now that is the second activity. You can even play along with me. Slow down the video so that we play together. We have now the second activity will now start from the first inversion of chord number 1. The progression is still 1, 4, 5, 1, but now we start from the first inversion. I want you to check my right hand also. So the first inversion, this was the fingering we adopted. So we'll have 1, then root of 4. From the root of 4, we go to the root of 5, and we finish at the first inversion of 1. I want you to retake that. We have the first inversion of chord number 1, then root of 4, root of 5, first inversion of 1. Take key note of how I'm shifting the fingers. I redo it. This is the second task you're supposed to practice and master. We have 1 first inversion. Look at my fingering very well. So we have this. That is number 1. Then number 4, we have the fingers now reset. Number 5, same fingering there. Then I'm back to this. That is the second activity that I want you to practice. Then the last one, we have now chord number 1 in the second inversion. So we have this. I'm keeping the same fingering that I taught earlier on this, the second inversion. Then we go to chord number 4 in the first inversion. I hope you're following. Then chord number 5 in the first inversion. Then 1 in the root. I'll retake that. 1, 4, 5, 1. Second inversion. First inversion of F. First inversion of G. And the root of C. I can assure you that if you practice following the first point that I did mention on just the chords, and we reset the fingers, in summary, you reset your fingers mid-air. I want you to start this and you take it slowly at first, so that you reset the fingers literally on air. Sorry, we have this. You reset the fingers on air, reset it, reset it. So you go slowly until when you are comfortable, you can increase the speed. That is very important. And then now you follow this progression, starting from different inversions, as I've explained in this particular task. Remember the first one, we start from root of number 1, second inversion of number 4, second inversion of number 5, then root of number 1. In the second activity, as I explained, you can rewind the video and recheck it. You start from the first inversion of chord number 1, we go to the root of number 4, root of number 5, and first inversion of number 1. Our progression still remains 1, 4, 5, 1. And then in the last task that I want you to do is start from second inversion of number 1, first inversion of number 4, first inversion of number 5, and then the root of chord number 1. If you practice all those until you are comfortable, I assure you that you will be at a very advanced stage as far as the mastery of the chord inversions are concerned. If you found some value in this tutorial, kindly like this video and share it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscription button. Bye-bye. That's all we had today. Let me see you in the next video, where we will continue with our mission in this channel, and that is helping you to grow step by step. Bye-bye.